C'est la plus grande, c'est la plus grande.
On est reparti. Dernier morceau pour retrouver nos amis commentateurs et consultants dans la cabine. On y va. Et puis là, ça sort.
Welcome back to Le Grand Bonnard for the final race of the weekend in the stunning Haute Savoie department. A start list of 30 athletes made up of 25 from the world rankings and the next 5 best athletes from the point standings from this stop of the World Cup, taking on this 12.5-kilometre mass start race. 5 laps of the 2.5-kilometre course, and for one last time before the Christmas break, alongside myself, Ellen Ellard is former Team USA biathlete Chad Salmler. Chad, the conditions are not what we'd have hoped for as we bid to say farewell to Le Grand Bonnard for another year.
Snow is at -1, the air is at +1 Celsius, and it's 100% humidity. That tells you that they're basically swimming out there.
We have, over the course of the last hour, following the conclusion of the men's race, had a mixture of some snow, some rain, sleet coming down from the sky. Already one French winner here in the women's competition, the only woman to ever do it, Brassard Boucher, looking to do it again, as she did back in 2017 in the mass start. She loves winning here. She loves this event. Chad, how do you rate her chances today? She's wearing bib number 5.
She and Julia Simone are great at this competition. 5 wins for Justine Brassard-Boucher, career wins in the mass start. 4 for Simone. That's 9 between them. That doubles more than anybody else in the field. But there's also a lot of pressure on them. It's tough. We've seen all week that it's tough to win in France when you're French, especially for this crowd that is just hungry for a victory. So they have to take down the great German Franziska Preuss. And right now, Franziska Preuss has done nothing wrong all year long.
No, she has been the queen of consistency. Her lowest rank so far this season has been 5th. She's only once finished lower, and that was in the relay when she finished 6th. But also you have to remember last weekend in Hopfilzen led Germany to that, or anchored Germany to that historic victory in the women's relay. So she's really become a focal point and a strong focus for this German team, I say, on both sides as well. There was question over the health of this German squad. We've had 2 dropouts from the German side. Vanessa Voigt, really disappointing to not see her line up today. She has been shooting exceptionally well, clean shooting 4 times this season in individual competitions, and 3 out of 4 of those in 4 shooting stages, races with 4 shooting stages. Julia Tauenheimer as well withdrawing, but Franziska Preuss, she opened up that she wasn't feeling her best when for her last victory, but she feels a lot better now, and well, she's wearing the yellow bib still, but eyes on Justine Bressard-Boucher.
You can't count out the red bib, the leader of this, Elvira Oberg, but she has not been doing very well since she took the red leader's bib back in Kontiolahti in this opening mass start. We'll see if she can turn her shooting around. She's been skiing fine.
Yeah, she does have 3 mass start victories to her name, though, including here in 2021. Here is Franziska Preuss, though, who, well, she always exudes an air of positivity, and particularly with the challenges the German team have faced this week in terms of illness, still looking very happy. Big smile plastered across her face. Next to her, Elvira Oberg, looking to get back on track after not performing to what we'd expect after she started the season so well in Kontiolahti. Very similar situation for Lou Jean Minot. She said this week that Le Grand Bonnard, well, it gives and it takes away in equal measure. Dorothea Wehler wearing bib number 9. Could she spring a surprise today?
She could. She's always capable of surprising it, but we've seen her up and down on her ski speed. I think the favorites, we know the favorites. They're the people at the top of the leaderboard, and they're the ones to watch. But as we saw, there's always a spoiler. Tarja Bö came off the bench and won earlier today. Some of the dark horses, I think Jean Richard shooting great in the pursuit yesterday. She might be the surprise French victor today. Not a terribly fast skier, but probably shooting the best among the field yesterday.
It is so hard to really pin a favourite. You have to say the most consistent Franziska Preuss. It is challenging to compete in these conditions, but particularly if you're coming off a period of not feeling completely your best. The heavy rain and slippery conditions paired with the occasional gust through the range, particularly challenging. She wears the yellow bib, and she is most certainly the one to watch. Next to her, the red bib of Elvira Oberg and Lou Jean Minot, joining them on the front row for this final event here at Le Grand Bonnard. A brilliant weekend of racing. And the women's 12.5 kilometre mass start, our final race here in the French Alps. A stunning backdrop, and we're already looking forward to being back here next year in 2025.
Looking at the start order, there's nobody that stands out besides Preuss that has missed a blemish this weekend. You've got Lou Jean Minot, who's been really consistent up until yesterday when she dropped 3 with with everything on the line in the pursuit. So she drops my confidence just a little bit. Julia Simon, though, is so good at these head-to-head competitions, you can never count her out. Can she hold it together, though, for 4 straight shooting stages today? With all the expectations on her, we'll find out.
Yeah, Julia Simon, second in the pursuit. We know that when she's dialed in and chasing, that's when we see the best out of her.
And I should point out, the French have 6 shots at the podium today out of this starting field of 30. So they have the most people out there. So chances are the highest they'll get somebody on the podium.
Well, interesting to see Elvira Oberg leading the way out of the tunnel. She has Justine Bressard-Boucher to one side, Lou Jean Minot to the other, and directly behind her is Julia Simon. And you can see the yellow bib just drop further down into the pack. Franziska Preuss, she's decided not to take this one out hard, just sit back and let herself be swept around this first lap, and then we'll see where she comes out of that first shooting stage.
Some of the exciting new names at this mass start. You've got Venla Lehtinen coming off 30 for 30 shooting this weekend. She set her best sprint finish in the sprint competition, then finished 7th yesterday in the pursuit. Lehtinen just off the flower ceremony. She's not missed a shot yet. She's starting with bib number 22, and her teammate Suvi Minkinen currently sitting 7th overall. The Finns have never really had anybody since Kaisa Mäkäräinen competing like this on the World Cup.
Yeah, Suvi Minkinen, we've spoken a lot about her over the course of the last few weeks. She's recently turned 30. Her maiden podium as well on home snow in Kontiolahti, and has really been able to continue that good form. Not hit the same heights in terms of a podium that she did in Kontiolahti, but that consistency really serving her well, as she was bib 6 today, but is 7th in the overall standings, and increasing her ski speed. She already had the really good shooting form, and Venla Lehtinen now catching up with that.
Yeah, they're kind of feeding off each other. They've been roommates and friends for a long time. Both of them they've been on the World Cup for a better part of 10 seasons, but still not quite the ski speed historically, as you see Minkinen on the right of your screen, as the French team sort of takes over the front of the field the way the Norwegian men did earlier today.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. You have Elvira Øberg in the red bib over to the left-hand side of your picture, and then a quartet in very similar style to what we saw in the men's race. And then just off the back of the quartet is our 5th French woman wearing the blue bib, Jean Richard.
A couple other debutantes, as you call them, besides Lehtinen. Maya Klutens from Belgium, 22 years of age. She is really a story and an emerging athlete we have to keep our eye on. Nowhere near a podium yet, but at 22 years of age, giving Belgium something to cheer about in the sport.
So Franziska Ploys, the yellow bib, 9.3 seconds down. She's tucked in behind Selina Grotian, the 21-year-old German compatriot.
Just 2 Germans in the start order, with the resignation of Vanessa Voigt, who was set to start in bib number 4 today, but has decided to sit out.
So Justine Blessard-Boucher wearing bib number 5, leading from Elvira Øberg, and the French packing out the head of this train of athletes.
Good look at the snake running down through the field here, this S-turn. Already spreading out a little bit of a gap from the first 5 or so, 5 to 6 to the next group over that climb. So you can see the pace is being set pretty quickly by bib number 5, Justine Blessard-Boucher.
The only French woman to win here. She did it first in 2017. That was in the mass start, the same day that Martin Fourcade shot clean. Historic day in French biathlon. She then repeated that feat earlier on this week, and she is looking to become the only French woman not just to win here once, but to do it 3 times.
See, Preuss sort of buried in the standings right now, and I think we'll find out whether this is a strategy or it's just the fact that maybe she is not feeling up to it. 9 seconds back at 1.5K, same as she was at 1K back. There's Preuss inching up on Lisa Theresa Hauser, the lone Austrian in the start order. But interesting to see Preuss drop back. I wouldn't have expected that. She looked strong enough to ski at the front of the field yesterday.
Well, the questions we had before this race, and upon the news that we heard rumblings of before yesterday about the illness in the German camp, was whether she would start racing today if she didn't feel like she could finish in the flower ceremony, if not the podium, just because we're going into the winter break and you really don't want to push yourself to the point of further illness and she struggled else through that period of respite.
Yeah, she struggled with that very thing her whole career, like just maybe pushing a little too far into a fatigue setting, and it has you wondering now, as you see the yellow bib in the second, kind of ensconced in that second pack. Athletes will shoot on their bib number this first time to the shooting range, which will actually put Preuss just a little bit further back, because she has to ski all the way to point number 1 before she can start shooting, and she's losing. She's still about 10 seconds back.
Bressard Boucher, Elvira Erberg, Sophie Chauveau and Julia Simon. This group of 4 coming into the range first. You can see the flags spiralling. And they've got heavier in the wind. That's something that the athletes were reminded of by the coaches in zeroing.
It's still not terribly different from the zeroing period. I think it's probably pretty similar.
It's a miss for Simon. Bressard Boucher, Jean Minot, Richard as well with hits so far. Bressard Boucher a miss, Simon, 1 miss for her. Jean Minot looking to go clean, and she does show. Minkinen clean, Richard
and
also
Preuss
clean, and Preuss as well.
She took her time to get there, but Preuss leaves among the leaders. That was some great strategy by the world #1. But look at the leader, Suvi Minkinen from Finland, clean on the range and quick. She leads Jean Minot and the straight shooting Swede Anna Magnusson, who won here 2 years ago.
Yeah, the Finnish team were reminded that this is one last fight, and if you can stay in it mentally, there will be opportunities. And that door is opened up for Suvi Minkinen, as we see Anna-Maria Lampic with a first miss as well. We've seen her perform well this week for her maiden podium, but we do know that she performs better in 2 shooting stages rather than 3, or 4 even.
Got about a little more than half the field with zeros next to the name. The first shooter to leave the range with a miss is Simone in 16th, then Trabucci and Zima each clean their 17th and 18th. So relatively better shooting from the women's first shooting stage than the men's earlier.
So Suvi Minkinen leading Jean Minot and Anna Magnusson. And then you can see the yellow bib leading a group of about 7. Franziska Ploys looking to latch on to the back of this trio. It's Jean Minot now who takes up the charge at the front. She had to go into the Christmas break with a big confidence boost.
It's not a brutal pace, as most of the fastest skiers in the field missed a shot in shooting #1. So that puts a little bit more pedestrian people at the front, which sort of tamps things down a little bit, settles everything more for the shooting range. But it also should open the door back up for those athletes who missed a shot, who are faster skiers. Jean Minot looking good, nice, smooth, but there's nothing in the body language here that anybody's really all out skiing right now.
Anna Magnusson in behind. Won here in the sprint 2 years ago, the 29-year-old, but all her podiums and flower ceremonies have been in the sprint.
Get a nice look at Jean Minot pulling away almost without even trying. Minkinen is struggling just a little bit in 3rd there in bib 6 in the 2-tone blue suit. Anna Magnusson looks pretty comfortable with the pace being set by Jean Minot.
Yep, she's matching Jean Minot well as they head up to the 3.5-kilometer mark. And it is Jean Minot who leads the way from Anna Magnusson. Suvi Minkinen 2.7 seconds back.
Magnusson's only victory of her career was here in the sprint competition 2 years ago. Preuss right in that group there, Lisa Theresa Hauser.
The top 10 all within 10 seconds. It's Grotian, Germany, who is 10 seconds back, currently occupying that 10th berth. Julia Simon down in 14th, 17.1 seconds back. Sophie Chauveau with that 1 miss around a penalty loop back, 22.9 seconds.
Anna-Maria Lampic taking 10 seconds out of the leaders at this point. Left the range in 20th place, currently back up into 13th, just 16 seconds back. So Lampic on a tear on the skis. Up into this long climb before they head back down in the range. Jean Minot looking very much under control, and they are dropping Suvi Minkinen. Minkinen not able to keep the pace.
Yep, and she's been swallowed up by this trailing pack of well over 10 athletes. But interesting to see Franziska Preuss has dropped back as well. She's just 2 athletes off the back of this group, and you wonder whether that's her saying, right, we're just going to sit back and let the race work its way around me, focusing on performing well in the range.
Yeah, she left the range in after the first shooting in 8th place, 7.9 seconds back. Now at 3.5, she was 6.8, so she's not losing any time, but she's not trying to force herself to the front of the pack. I think it's a sound strategy, especially after all the racing that's been going on, and the fact that you know, her teammate has decided not to start. And we've heard the rumblings of maybe some illness in the German team.
So it's 3.5 kilometers. Franziska Preuss was 6.8 seconds behind. The gap is now 10.3 seconds back from Lou Jean Monod, who has been pushing the pace at the front. She does have Anna Magnusson watching her every move, though. Just 0.7 of a second behind her. And the gap is then back to Suvi Minkkinen, 6.6 seconds. She sits in 3rd.
I have a hard time believing, as you see the red bib of Elvira Ubert coming through near the back of the pack, already with 2 penalties and clearly not skiing at her best. She is the second of the 2 penalty holders. Bryce Albouchet also 2 right ahead of her, but that is, as we've said in the past, you can't miss 2 shots in a single shooting stage, or the dynamic just switches too much in a mass start. You lose touch.
Here are our leaders, Lou Jean Monod and Anna Magnusson. Jean Monod with something to prove. She said that she'd much prefer to perform well and win in Lenzerheide than here on home snow. But I'm sure even with saying that, she'd have wanted a lot more from her performances this week.
I have to believe at this point that Franziska Preuss, this is what she can give right now. I think she'd be a little further up the field if she felt strong. I don't think this is strategy. I think this is just her doing damage control and trying to stay near the front of the group by shooting clean. The wind flag there. Not terribly bad wind. We saw some gusts right before the men's start that were just amazing. It's shooting all the flags, the country flags, out straight to the right, and then it just died. Haven't seen it since.
Yeah, very similar conditions to that of the first prone shoot, as Lou Jean Monod and Anna Magnusson drop down into the prone position.
Magnusson fast to the first shot. 2 down before anybody starts.
Yeah, 3 for 3 now, Magnusson. Jean Monod trying to catch up. Magnusson goes clean. She'll be into the lead. A miss for Jean Monod. 4 out of 5 for Jean Monod. Grotian is clean as well. Suvi Minkkinen performing well. Michelon of France, Richard as well.
Sarah Anderson of Sweden there as well.
Idalin, Todorova, Malenka Kaida, Hanna Ockenthaler.
7 racers through, and the biggest name so far is Hauser.
Franziska Preuss, clean in the prone position. Bib number 1, sat in 3rd, just behind Grotian.
Leaves shooting 2 in 3rd place is Preuss. So it's Magnusson, Grotian, Preuss.
Another miss for Boucher. 3 on the day already.
So the French stars are at the back of the field now. Everything falling on the shoulders of Océane Michelon in 4th. For the French, 11.9 seconds back in 4th.
Yeah, but not far behind her in terms of time is Jean Richard. 13.7 seconds behind Anna Magnusson.
Got a list at the front of the field of people looking for their first World Cup wins. In Selina Grotian in 2nd, Océane Michelon in 4th, Sarah Anderson in 5th, and Suvi Minkkinen in 6th. Jean Richard has never won, and Todorova of Bulgaria in 9th. Ida Lien from Norway in 10th. It is a veritable who's not who of biathlon at the front of this field.
Well, we did say before this race, it's so hard to pick a favourite for this one. It really is wide open, and as we conclude our prone shooting stages, that's exactly what we've seen every time we come out to the shooting, it has changed by one means or another. And once again, despite coming out the range in third, Franziska Preuss opting, I think, to sit a bit further back. She doesn't want to take on any unnecessary work. And as we've seen, particularly in the range, there can be some stray gusts of wind that swoop through the valley. And she's just happy to let everyone around her do the work.
This may just be a defensive points strategy for Preuss, and see what happens by the end of this last shooting. She certainly is not pushing for the win at this point, but seems very happy to follow. Anna Magnusson knows this course well. She loves it, and she is off on her own now, trying to drop the rest of the field as they head into the third shooting stage and the standing.
At the head of the chasing pack is Selina Grotian, a 20-year-old. Never finished on an individual podium, part of the team that won in Hochfilzen in the women's relay last weekend, and carrying a lot of confidence. 2 flower ceremonies already this season, and after Danilo Liedmüller secured his maiden podium, I'm sure Selina Grotian is hoping to make hers today. Anna Magnusson, though, plenty of experience and fond memories from competing on this course. She leads the way. The next time check we'll get is 6 kilometres. So just under halfway through this race. Anna Magnusson. Grotian 3.4 seconds behind.
The big mover, though, is Milena Todorova, the Bulgarian, 26 years of age. Yeah,
she was third in the reserve list and wearing bib 29 owing to so many withdrawals over the course of the last 24 hours.
Making the most of this opportunity so far. She's clean on the day. Personal best finish in any World Cup is a sprint in 8th place back in 2021. Was 10th in Hochfilzen last week in the sprint, but she's the best mass starter. She's been 15th in mass start, but pretty amazing to be a reserve athlete in the top 3 now after 2 shooting stages. So it's just what these opportunities give, especially at the end of 3 hard weeks of competing nearly day in and day out.
So the blue bib of Jean Richard now pushing the pace to bridge the gap, and it looks like the young Frenchwoman has done just that. A real spurt there to close down Anna Magnusson. She has Oceane Michelon in tow as well.
Richard was the junior world champion in 2022 in the pursuit competition, but her best World Cup finish is 4th just yesterday in the pursuit. So she's on a high point right now, is Jean Richard. Clean on the day yesterday.
Now we know how special a win or a podium here would be for Oceane Michelon, who was here as a fan when Johannes Tinger's boat had his first victory, and she received his flowers and still has them dried and has them in a small pot in her bedroom.
It's a great story, especially if she can win today. There's a Slovakian, Batovska Fialkova, Kirkeide for Norway, 13th, Alcantara. Still clean for Italy, but not able to keep a pace on the skis. She's outside the top 10 and 14th. But this pack, half the field still clean out of this pack of 30. And this lead group all comes back together there after Magnusson tried to get away on the climbing portion and is swallowed back up. She might not have as fast as skis.
Well, would you look at this? Franziska Preuss now, alongside Grotian, and the yellow bib will lead the way into the 3rd shooting stage and the first of our 2 standing shoots.
Preuss, a 86% shooter from standing. Richard, this year 87, they're about equal. Magnusson 88, another percent better than that. Michelon in this pack, she is a 78% standing shooter. In there as well as bib 11, well, that's Michelon. Grotian from Germany, she's an 84% standing shooter. So relatively equal in the shooting from the standing position, except Idalene in 6th is only a 60% shooter. So watch out for the Norwegian. She has to hit above her average, well above her average, to stay with this lead pack.
So into the range for the penultimate time this season here at Le Grand Bonnat. Franziska Ploys, the yellow bib, leading a train of 9 athletes.
See, the targets are lit up. It's almost like nighttime here in the middle of the afternoon with the clouds socked in. First of 2 standing to decide who still has a shot at the win.
Franziska Ploys. Grotian stood next to her. And Grotian is first to shoot. Miss for Michelon, Hauser, Anderson, 2 misses. A miss for Suvi Minkkinen. Another for Ocean Michelon. Richard goes clean, and the French crowd love it. Franziska Ploys as well, clean. Idalene twice around the penalty loop. Jean Minot clean.
When you hear the roar, you know what's going on. The French are hitting targets, and Jean Richard with clean shooting is the only one challenging Ploys. She's got her by 3 seconds, and Jean Minot comes out 8.7 seconds back in 3rd. 3 French women at the front.
For how things change in the blink of an eye once again.
Then it's 4th, but 20 seconds back is Maren Kierkeide. Her personal best is a 5th. That was yesterday. So she's got a hot streak going, sitting in 4th place. Grotian of Germany, 1 second back of Kierkeide. Minkkinen still hovering back there with a miss now in 6th.
As we watch the revolving door of the athletes coming out of shooting into the penalty loop. And those making their way out onto the course, as Jean Richard did.
Looks very cool, the young under-23 leader, for somebody who's never won a World Cup. That was some cool shooting by her.
Yeah, the French are definitely getting things right when it comes to shooting. It's something that they've spoken about a lot. One of their fundamentals as part of a 3-year project leading up to the 2026 Olympics, to be shooting fast and shooting accurate. Jean-Pierre Armand, I'm sure, will be very happy with what he's seen on both sides of the French team over the course of the last 3 days on home snow.
Coming into the 3rd shooting stage, half the field was clean. Now there's only 5 athletes left who are clean, and 2 of them are at the front of the field, Richard and Ploys.
And you can see just how the landscape of this race has changed. We had a group of 9-10 athletes all coming into the 3rd shooting stage within about 8 seconds of each other. And now we just have 3 up front. And the next best athlete is Maren Kierkeide, 20.7 seconds down in 4th. As the snow now starting to fall. We've had rain, we've had sleet, and now these big clumps of snow coming down. And well, Chad, how will that affect things for the last lap and a half?
It's going to make it harder. Now that the rain has turned to snow, and it's very obvious that it has, it'll slow the track down quite a bit. It'll help anybody who's feeling strong on the skis today. Unfortunately, the front of the field, it looks like the shooting is the factor. The strong skiers are buried in the field with too many misses. You got 4 misses by Brysa Boucher in 22nd, 3 misses by Chavot, Julia Simone with 3 misses in 11th. They're nowhere to be seen. So even though it's favoring them with the snow falling, it's all about shooting clean, and Jean Richard maintains that lead comfortably.
Well, this would be a spectacular result for the 22-year-old. PB performance here yesterday in the pursuit, finishing 4th. She's got a lot of fans who have travelled with flags, banners, cardboard signs. Plenty of support around the course, but she does have the yellow bib of Franziska Ploys, who is 9.2 seconds back, and the formidable character that she can be, Jean Minot.
But Jean Richard right now is the fastest skier so far on loop number 4. She left the shooting range 3 seconds ahead of Preuss. She's got her by 9 now. She left 8 ahead of Jean Monod. She's got her by 12. Marion Kierkegaard was 20 back. She's got her by 23 now. Grotian was 21 back, 24 back now. So Jean Richard, I don't know if the crowd is sending her around this course and lifting her, giving her some wings, but she's found some ski speed in lap 4. Here she is.
Yep, we're back with our leader wearing the blue bib. Still 22 years old. That blue bib denoting the under-23 competition, formerly under-25 competition.
She's just dancing on her skis up this hill. It's a beautiful technique. She's using the V2 technique, transferring, pulling with each stride of the leg. Franziska Preuss looks a little more hurried, but a little more labored behind her in second. And Jean Monod not making any progress either.
No, neither Franziska Preuss nor Jean Monod have been able to eat into the advantage that Jean Richard has.
And the snowstorm has begun in earnest. It is coming down, and there's no sign of it stopping. Jean Monod leading through a snowstorm.
And this is where Jean Richard will see her advantage as she's chased down the hill by the French team, who have to quickly then regroup because Jean Monod is right behind.
Jean Monod losing another 2 seconds between 8.5 and 9 kilometers. So every half kilometer, she's losing 2 seconds. Sign that maybe Jean Richard has a good pair of skis for this transition, and Minkin holding down 6, still 27 seconds back. With the snow like this, that's going to be about a penalty loop as things slow down.
Yeah, Franziska Preuss only losing 0.2 of a second over the last 500 meters. So despite her skiing looking more labored than Jean Richard, she's not losing any ground.
This is the key moment in the race. You want to come into the last shooting stage with a clear lead so you can just do your work. And Jean Richard facing her chance at her first ever World Cup win, and would be the only the second French woman to win in Le Grand Bonnat in the history of the 6 stops of the World Cup here.
But she has to forget all about that, because there is a big task in hand, and that is pulling out a better shooting performance than Franziska Preuss. Both these athletes 15 for 15 so far, and Franziska Preuss is in great shooting form. Shooting clean in the sprint, only missing once in the pursuit.
Looks like Preuss has made up some of that 9 seconds. I think maybe Jean Richard backing off, realizing the opportunity she has here, not wanting to fly too close to the sun and melt her wings.
But the wind has picked up, as you can see, from the red flags in the shooting range, and it's almost the opposite direction to the gust we had just before the men's race.
It won't take the trajectory out of the target in standing position, but it's all about holding the rifle steady while you're tired in your 4th shooting stage, 10 kilometers into this race.
So Jean Richard, the 22-year-old French woman, vying to become just the 2nd ever French woman to win here on home snow in Annecy Le Grand Bonnat. You can see the wind readings there. It's picked up.
But Jean Richard is going to get the best spot on the shooting range. You see that wall to the right? That's going to cast the wind around her. She's got the best chance in this gusty wind. Closer you move to the center of the range, the less chance you have of holding your rifle steady.
So Jean Richard lifts her rifle up to her eye.
10 kilometers an hour. Shoots through it and hits. So does Preuss.
Hear the nerves of the French crowd. It's a miss for Richard. Preuss, the advantage swinging her way. 3 for 3 for Franziska Preuss. 4 for 4. And Franziska Preuss goes clean. It's once round the penalty loop for the young French woman.
Jean Monod and Kierkegaard both go to the loop as well. So Preuss is going to take the lead.
Grotian following out her German compatriot. Jean-Richard making her way around the penalty loop.
Minkkinen goes to the loop as well for Finland. So now it's Germany 1-2, and where is the gap for third? It's up to 20 seconds, 18, 19, 20 seconds. Finally, Richard comes out of the penalty loop.
So Richard through 22.2 seconds back, but plenty struggling on that final standing shoot, and you can see just how many are making their way around the penalty loop. The majority veering off to the left-hand side rather than taking that right-hand turn back out onto the course.
Hanna Augenthaler finally comes through 40 seconds back, clean on the day. I think she and Preuss are going to be the only two on the day who are clean.
Yeah, and if Hanna Augenthaler can hold this with Bartowska-Fialkova not too far behind her, this would be a big personal best finish for the Italian. But Franziska Preuss leading by 4.2 seconds from Selina Grotian, and then Jean-Richard 22.2 seconds back. And if Preuss can come over the line for a fourth career victory, you have to say that this has been a perfect race tactically, as well as one that's been performed in spectacular style in the shooting range as well.
Yeah, she didn't put the cart before the horse. She just sat in and did what she can do. And she may not be able to hold off Grotian. Grotian may catch her. And in fact, Grotian has gone past Preuss.
So Grotian into the lead now. The 20-year-old German who has never stood on a individual podium before is ahead of Franziska Preuss, her teammate.
She has won at the highest junior level, junior world champion twice in the sprint and pursuit. Grotian biting off, trying to get past her veteran teammate to take her first World Cup win, but Preuss not letting her go. It's gutsy by Grotian, though.
It is indeed. She's there in the German camp. She would have known what Franziska Preuss was planning today. And as we saw from the early stages, this hasn't been the Franziska Preuss that is necessarily flying on the skis today. All her hard work to give her the lead coming out of shooting four was done in the range.
But biathlon is a tactical sport, not just from day to day and not within a race. It's using what you can when you can to get the best result, and Preuss has done that. She's seeing the victories ski away from her in Grotian, but she timed everything perfectly. She did not use any extra energy in the first 3 laps. And fighting her way back into it.
And you know from Franziska Preuss's perspective that if anyone is to beat her in this women's 12.5 kilometer mass start, she'd prefer it to be her young teammate Selina Grotian.
And this German team, we've been talking about it, this young German team have been led by Preuss all winter long. The hopes that they carry with the rabid fans of the sport in their home country, looking for a resurgence on their women's team, and this would be just the message to send as they head towards Oberhof and Ruhpolding at the break of the new year.
And now we see Jean-Richard come through the 11-kilometer mark. She's 28 seconds down. Will she be able to hold off the experienced Paulina Bartowska-Fialkova?
And what a story that would be for a Slovakian team. Bartowska-Fialkova was 6th in the overall standings way back in 2018-2019. Hasn't been in the top, hasn't been better than 17th. She was 17th 2 years ago. But she would love to get on a podium. She's trying to catch Richard.
We're back with our leaders, though. Selina Grotian and the yellow bib of Franziska Preuss.
That tells the story.
Yeah.
Snow keeps coming down harder in Le Grand Bernan Valley.
Just 2.8 seconds between those two. The next and final checkpoint will be the 11.5 kilometer mark. And you can just see the bright yellow vest in behind
Grotian is testing her, but Preuss is not going away. Still keeping it at about 2 to 3 seconds back.
So this is 11.5 kilometers, 3.5 seconds. So the gap has opened. Selina Grotian vying for not just her first podium, her first victory at 20 years old.
And now Richard trying to get her first podium, being chased by the Slovakian.
Well, she'll have the home crowd on her side all the way.
1 kilometer left, she's got her glasses up, can't see out of those anymore, the snow's stuck to it. Jean-Richard, she may just have enough. She looks to her left and sees Batovska-Fialkova just 8 seconds back.
8.8 seconds. Jean-Richard has as an advantage on that final spot on the podium over Batovska-Fialkova.
Grotian looks good for the win now. Gap is growing on Preuss.
Well, this will be a true statement of the depth of the German women's team. And this would be a very popular first podium. Jean-Richard wearing the blue bib, and she's certain to hold on to that.
And look at the snow slowing things down. It's accumulating very quickly, already a couple centimeters on this course.
And regardless of it not being a win today for Franziska Preuss, her consistency continues, and you have to say it's a perfectly timed race from an athlete who hasn't been firing technically on all cylinders this week with the illness in the German camp, but it will be the Germans who take first and second in our final week, our final race in Le Grand Bonnard. Selina Grotian, the 20-year-old, lifts her poles in the air. It's not just a first podium, it's a first victory. And celebrating behind her, Franziska Preuss, the yellow bib, who is delighted to see her young teammate take the victory. This is what the crowd are waiting for, though. And Jean-Richard is going to have to dig very deep indeed.
Batovska-Fialkova has the power and she senses it.
It's going to be incredibly close between Batovska-Fialkova and Jean-Richard, who only just notices it.
Oh!
And it's tight on the line, but Batovska-Fialkova gets there. And you can see the disappointment on the face of the young Frenchwoman who thought she'd done enough. She only really noticed just before the line.
Yeah, it's the nature of those sprint finishes, and if the snow hadn't fallen, I don't think she would have got her. It was the speed of the snow that really hurt Jean-Richard there, and she misses the podium by a single tenth of a second, making it into fifth.
Well, heartbreak for the young Frenchwoman. One miss on the day, missing out by a tenth of a second. Batovska-Fialkova, 3 misses. And on the podium once again. It's the first time in a very long time for Batovska-Fialkova, who wasn't expecting to be racing today. She was on the reserves list.
Let's just put that in perspective, too, with some of the stars. Jean Monod, 3 penalties, 1:17 back. She really skied well, did Batovska-Fialkova. Kind of just hit out in the back of the group. We never really called her number until that last lap.
Yeah, her first podium since the 2021-22 season in a pursuit in Oslo. Around the 32-year-old. Back in, not just a flower ceremony, but on the podium. And you really have to feel for Jean-Richard. You could see her scrambling to try and get over the line first. And, well, that's part of the challenge as well. She wouldn't have heard Batovska-Fialkova coming because of the roar of the French crowd. Little did she know that they were roaring her on to try and get her over the line in a podium position.
Yeah, and for the second straight day, she's 4th. It's just the hardest thing to take. It's gonna sting a little bit tonight for Richard. And Anna Magnusson, who was among the leaders early, 5 missed shots from the standing position. She was clean prone and comes across the line near the tail end of the field in 28th. Dorothea Viera, 29th with a 4 missed day. And the final competitor across the finish line, Sidorovic from Poland, with a 6 missed day. She'll wind up the competition week here in Le Grand Bonnat.
Yeah, incredibly challenging conditions as we end the weekend with 2 spectacular mass start races and a maiden victory for Selina Grotian. Plenty of tired bodies out there, very happy to see the winter break make its way. Selina Grotian, though, well, we've seen some incredible performances from the youngster. She performed so well in the women's relay team that took top spot for the first time in 4 years in Hochfilzen. And the consistency of Franziska Preuss continuing. It's been a tough week for Preuss. Her 3rd career victory, but she did so not firing on all cylinders, and just to look back at how close it was.
Yeah, you can see Grotian looks to the right and realizes it's too late. She's already got the momentum she needed to beat her at the line, and all that's left is to feel the pity of not noticing it a little bit sooner.
You really feel for Jean Richard as she looks to the side.
And the disbelief on the coaches, French coaches, that Richard, after all that work, loses the podium spot by a 1/10 of a second. She'll be back. She'll do it again.
You really feel for her. But there is your podium today. A maiden podium, a maiden victory for Selina Grotian. Franziska Preuss alongside her. And arguably one of the stories of the day, as well as the victory of Selina Grotian. Paulina Batowska-Fialkova with her first podium since the 21-22 season, after being on the reserve list for today's racing. A real feel-good story, that.
Yeah, to come off the reserve list and get a podium finish, that is a really big upswing for the Slovakian.
It's all been about coming off the bench and delivering today, hasn't it? That's been the story of the day for both the men and the women. As we take a look through the results. Richard Boucher really struggling, 7 misses. Sophie Chauveau as well, 5 misses. We've spoken about it a lot this weekend, but being on home snow, well, it also takes a lot emotionally. Anna-Maria Lampic has had a really strong week. Her first podium, but not rounding it out in the way that she would have wanted. She finishes with 10 misses on the day. Well, we were expecting a snowstorm. We were hoping it would hold off until after the racing, but the women having to contend with it in this final race here at Le Grand Bonnat. Franziska Preuss, well, we knew that she would carry the yellow bib through the Christmas break and into the new year, where she will head to home snow in Germany. It's Elvira Urberg who trails her, but it's a really commanding lead from Franziska Preuss, 565 points. Lou Jean Minot in 3rd. Julia Simon is up to 4th. Vanessa Voigt, owing to her not competing today, dropping down to 5th. Suvi Minkkinen up 1 position to 6th. A really strong start to the season for the Finnish athlete. Jean Richard up into 8th. And Selina Grotian jumping up a whole 6 places. The under-23 athlete, well, she'll have her eyes as well on that blue bib of Jean Richard. The French woman will hold it through the winter break, but Selina Grotian is right there. She's 10th in the overall standings.
Selina, this was an unbelievable performance, your first workout victory. How does it feel to be on top of the world today?
Honestly, I can't believe it. It's so crazy right now. It's just not in my head right now. Yeah, I can't believe it.
What did you think when you left the shooting and you see Francie and you could go for this victory?
Honestly, I thought, oh, maybe I can go easy now. Second place is enough for me. I'm really tired now after the 3 weeks. But then I thought, yeah, I'm in good shape still. Also the last 2 races, and I thought maybe I could catch her up, and yeah.
To do it here with this amazing crowd must be feeling a perfect Christmas present.
Yeah, it's crazy. I love it here. The fans are incredible. They're so loud, and it makes so much fun to race here.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, we've seen some incredible performances from the youngsters this week, really leaving their mark. And we can take a look at the mass start score after 2 races. Franziska Ploys will be wearing the red bib. And we come back out of the Christmas break. Alvila Urberg in second, Julia Simon in third, and Selina Grotian in fourth.
Alors on espère que vous allez vous lâcher dans les tribunes, c'est Noël, ça arrive, eh oui.
Well, you can see just how heavy the snow is coming down as it settles on the crowd in the grandstand. No podium today for the French. But the athletes talk about it, Chad, we speak about it. There really is a special feeling from the crowd and this course here in the French Alps.
Yeah, it's a tradition built off of sort of the rise of popularity in the sport by Martin Fourcade. He really made the sports sort of front and center, particularly in the winter sports scene in France. France has always been good in biathlon, one of the better nations in the world, but Martin Fourcade did something that no other French athlete had ever done and put it really kind of in the mainstream. It's followed by the mainstream press now, especially when they win. And we see that in this venue. This venue has really kind of become the it ticket when it stops here, because the French fans are so rabid and so into it.
You can see just how much of the hot ticket it is. The Breton flag being flown high there. Plenty of fans making the trip from 1 point over on the northwestern side of France all the way down to this southeastern point. And plenty of fans over the border as well from Switzerland and Germany. And they'll be very happy to see the depth of this women's German team.
Here we go with the best Christmas gift ever for Selina Grotian, who is here for the first victory in her career. How do you feel about this?
Oh, it's just crazy, and first of all, I have to say, je peux parler un peu le français.
Well, Selina Grotian is being interviewed in front of the French crowd in the grandstand. And they are very happy to hear her try to speak a little bit of French. That's what all the cheers are about. And PA announcer saying it's a special Christmas present, and you really feel it is for the 20-year-old.
I think the most amazing thing about this crowd is here. It's coming down. It's not great weather to be standing outside, and they're waiting for the flower ceremony, even though the French are not on the podium.
Yeah, they will, however, want to show their support for Jean Richard. So close to a first career podium, out-sprinted by an athlete who didn't even know if she'd make the start today, in Paulina Batowska-Fialkova. And we can see once again just how close that finish was.
This will be Batowska-Fialkova's 10th career podium finish, so she's done this before. We know the name. Took a break, became a mother for the first time 2 years ago, and has fought her way back to her 10th podium today, and she earned it. She smelled that finish line, sniffed it out, and got there first to take the final podium spot.
And that's how close it was. Heartbreak for the French team, and no one more so than Jean Richard, the 22-year-old. She will, however, take some very happy memories, I hope, when she looks back on this weekend here in Annecy. Fourth in the pursuit as well. She's been well supported. The French crowd sticking around to see her in the flower ceremony. And still waiting for the athletes to make their way out to the podium. And Chad, we know across the board there'll be plenty of athletes very, very happy that after 3 very challenging weeks of racing, the Christmas break is here after the end of the first trimester of racing.
It's a lot of racing, especially if you're racing every race. Not everybody races the pursuit, not everybody races the mass start, but if you're racing sprint, pursuit, mass start, relays, 3 straight weeks of competition, if you think that they're packing almost as many races into 3 weeks as a track and field athlete might pack into an entire track and field season, and they're going to go do it 3 more times yet this winter. It's a lot of racing.
And someone who has been an ever-present is Franziska Ploys. Stepping up in the relays and continuing to make sure that the worst position she's finished in this season is 5th. She's never been outside of a flower ceremony.
Watching for Preuss greenhouses in Ruppel popping up after the season. Lots of flowers for that woman there. In the commanding lead in the overall World Cup, almost 200 points now ahead of 2nd place.
And so our final medal ceremony here in Annecy. We'll be back next year in 2025. To a venue that has quickly become one of the favourites for both athletes and fans.
Member of the Regional Council. President of French Ski Federation.
So the IBU, the organising committee, and the French Skiing Federation represented in those giving out the prizes to our flower ceremony of 6 athletes. And for the first time since the birth of her child and the first time since the 2021-22 season. Paulina Batowska-Fiałkowa stands on the podium. She didn't know that she'd be racing today. She was on the reserves list, and she has more than made the most of her opportunity. Franziska Ploys stepping up second on the day, clean shooting, and you feel in terms of her longevity this season a well-controlled race. Questions around the health and the illness in the German camp, but her consistency continues. For her first time on the podium, she'll stand on top spot. Selina Grotian. On top spot with the German team in Hochfilzen last weekend. And if you told her then that she'd stand atop the podium for her first time as an individual, I'm sure she'd have probably said that you're crazy, with the strength of those around her in the German team. The 20-year-old, a maiden podium, a first victory, and a really special way to end the racing here in Annecy. Wanted a podium. Jean-Richard missing out by a 1/10 of a second. An equal best performance for the young Frenchwoman though, who will hold on to the blue bib. Suvi Minkkinen. Another excellent performance from the Finnish athlete. Started this season so incredibly strongly. A real step up for her and the Finnish team. And it will be just one podium here for Julia Simon. Second in the pursuit yesterday. She couldn't replicate it today in the mass start. But another flower ceremony as she embraces her young teammate. So the Germans peaking at the right time. When we come back for the Christmas break, we will arrive in Oberhof before a weekend in Ruhpolding. And it is the Germans who reign supreme once again. But a new name atop the podium, Selina Grotian, victorious here in Annecy.